How's it going, everyone? Cadman Cycling here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have a time trial. This is the Tuesday evening Tempest Fugit time trial. It goes through the desert of Watopia. It's a 10.9 mile time trial race with an elevation gain of under 100 feet. So I wanted to take this opportunity just to give everyone here an intro to how time trials work, both in real life and here in Zwift. So I've started pretty far, almost halfway into the race, but just getting back to the start. Time trials are no draft races, and oftentimes you kind of start on your own and go at your own pace throughout the race. So rather than starting with a big group and getting to draft, this one is kind of more of a race of truth, as it's called. So just to answer the question of how do time trials work in Zwift, this time trial, like I said, is a race of truth. There's really no drafting, no games, so no people jumping off the front and the pack trying to catch them. It really just solely comes down to what are your watts per kilogram output at the end, and whoever puts up the highest will win the race. So even as riders pass me, or as I pass other riders, like this guy in the orange just in front of me, I will not be getting any draft from him on the way by. So it's solely up to the power that I'm putting out. So when you sign up for a time trial, in this case it was a staggered start time trial, the Zwift companion app will give you a specific individual start time. And then once you open up the Zwift race and you're in the pens, your rider will pop up on kind of this moving conveyor belt. And then riders will kind of start in increments of, I believe it's every 1 second. So you'll see a group and many conveyor belts ahead of you, and kind of one by one, each rider will start their race and kind of be let out of the pen sequentially. And then once it comes your time to start, and your rider starts moving forward, then there's a little bit of time that's allowed for you to kind of get warmed up, to get your rider up to speed before crossing the actual start line for the event. So unlike group races where as soon as the timer gets down to 0, you're being timed and the race is on, this one you have a little bit of time to get up to speed before maybe a 1/10 of a mile before the race itself actually starts. So we're moving forward here. Another nice thing is on the left-hand side of this screen, there are checkpoints, and this is easier just to help you keep pace. So I can track my heart rate, my average power, and time for each of these checkpoints. And my overall goal is just try to keep this same pace up for the entire race. The last thing I want to do is go out extremely hard, and then I'm just kind of dying at the end, struggling to turn the pedals over. But I also don't want to save too much energy. It's not like a race where as long as you're with the front pack, you're good. It's kind of like every second matters, just because you don't know at this time during the ride, you don't know the other riders' start and finish times. So you really have to push it as hard as you can and try to beat your own time. So the last thing I wanted to cover just before the finish is exactly what makes a good time trial rider in Zwift. So I'd say the first thing is the rider should be good at holding longer efforts around their FTP. So rather than kind of short bursts and attacking that you can see in a group race, this is more of just a long effort held at FTP that you want to be able to sustain for, in this case, just over 30 minutes for a 10-mile race, but kind of for around that time period. And time trials generally are shorter, so usually it'll be less than an hour. The other thing is pacing well, so these checkpoints definitely help with pace. And then just the final kind of tip, but also what makes a good TT rider, is someone who can stay motivated. There's really no pack dynamics. You're kind of all on your own out here, just trying to push yourself over time. So it's not about staying with a group. Obviously, it's nice to be passing people, but in the end, that's not what matters here. So you really have to be able to stay motivated and continue to push throughout this race. So this is the very end. We're coming to the start finish. Again, me against this guy at the end doesn't matter because we started at different times. We get the results, and then ultimately it may take a little while as others finish to figure out what your final place is. But thanks everyone for watching. Hopefully this gave you some more insights into how a time trial works in Zwift. This is Cadman Cycling, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.